Good afternoon. This is Herschel, and welcome you to another episode of The Truth. The man Moses, he was chosen to lead the children out of Egyptian bondage. Numbers 12 and verse 3 says that, "Now the man Moses was very humble, more than all who were on the face of the earth." Moses was a humble man, a very humble man, it says. But even humble people has a point that they lose their temper from time to time. Notice in Numbers 20, verses 1 through 12. Let's look at some indicators that might show us what led to Moses losing his temper. Verse 1, Numbers 20. "Then the children of Israel, the whole congregation, came into the wilderness of Zin in the first month, and the people stayed in Kadesh, and Miriam died there and was buried." The first indicator. Miriam, the sister of Moses and Aaron, she died. And we all know the pressure that one goes under when they lose a family member. There's a lot of stress and grief, so this could have been an indicator of Moses losing his temper. We don't know. We'll see. Now, verse 2, "Now there was no water for the congregation, so they gathered together against Moses and Aaron. And the people contended with Moses and spoke, saying, 'If only we had died with our brethren died before the Lord. Why have you brought up the assembly of the Lord into the wilderness, that we and our animals die here?'" Indicator number 2. The people contended with Moses and Aaron, complaining about no water. In verse 5, "Why have you made us come up out of Egypt to bring us to this evil place? It is not a place of grain or figs or vines or pomegranates, nor is there any water to drink." So Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the door of the tabernacle meeting and fell on their faces, and the glory of the Lord appeared to them. So Moses and Aaron are in distress. So they go before the tabernacle, they fall on their faces, and the Lord appeared to them. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, verse 7. Verse 8, "Take the rod, you and your brother Aaron, gather the congregation together. Speak to the rock before their eyes, and it will yield its water. Thus you shall bring water for them out of the rock, and give drink to the congregation and their animals." So Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he had commanded him. So Miriam had died. The people contended against Moses and Aaron, complaining and fussing about being led to a place where they're going to starve to death for water. "Why didn't you leave us in Egypt?" They done this several times, but God told Moses, he said, "Take your rod and go speak to the rock." Now, notice verse 10. "And Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly together before the rock, and he said to them, 'Hear now, you rebels, must we bring water out of this rock?'" So here's the first indication that Moses has lost his temper. He's had enough. He says, "Hear now, you rebels." He is referred to them not as a humble man, but as a man who is on the edge, a man that has reached his limit, so to speak. And then, not only that, he says, "Must we," declaring himself with God. God's the one that can bring the water. Moses has one job to do, or two: assemble the people and speak to the rock. God produces the water. God performs the miracle. But he says, "Hear now, you rebels, must we bring water from out of this rock?" Verse 11, "Then Moses lifted his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod, and water came out abundantly, and the congregation and the animals drank." He disobeyed God. He struck the rock twice. God told him to speak to the rock, but God still furnished the water. He may have disobeyed God, but God still supplied the water. He still took care of their needs. However, there was a consequence result from what Moses did. Verse 12. And then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, because you did not believe me to hallow me in the eyes of the children of Israel. Therefore you shall not bring this assembly into the land which I have given them. You disobeyed me, Moses. You cannot bring the people into the land. You cannot cross over and lead them into the promised land. Disobedience always brings a consequence, no matter what it is. Every choice we make has a consequence attached to it. It may be bad, it may be good, depending on the choice that we make. That's why a humble man, a good man, cannot save ourselves. We need someone to save us. Being good is not good enough. Being good will not get us right with God. John chapter 3 and verse 17, for God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but the world through him might be saved. Man needs a Savior, and that Savior is Jesus Christ. Have you accepted Jesus? Have you been obedient to his gospel? Think about these things. If you would, follow me on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and subscribe and like and share, and leave any questions or comments below. And a reminder, remind everyone that tomorrow evening at 6 p.m., Brother Adam Key and myself will be going live on the Milestown Church of Christ Facebook page, and going to be, Lord willing, beginning the book of Genesis chapter 1. We'll be talking about creation. Don't know how far we'll get, but I think it'll be a good study. We'd like to invite everyone to follow along, and if you have any comments or questions about that study, also get in touch with us or leave comments on the Facebook page. We'd be glad to answer anything or study deeper in any situation that or subject that you might have interest in. We invite you to be with us tomorrow night if you can. Thank y'all.